Hello everybody, welcome back to Indie Game Dev Report, episode 13. This week I've got an interview with Ryan Sumo. You might have heard of him from his work as a contracted artist on Prison Architect, which was hugely successful. He was able to take that success and form a studio, Squeaky Wheel Studio, where he and his team developed political animals and academia school simulator. Squeaky Wheel Studio is also publishing another studio's game called Ruinarch by Maccima Games. I'm super grateful he was able to take the time to be interviewed, and I'm really sorry it's taken so long to get this episode out. But before we get into all that, I'd love to take this opportunity to show some support to some super awesome indie folks. So first off, we've got Skull Commando Labs, who we all know on Twitter, Labs Skull. A couple months ago, he started following me on itch.io, and I had to follow him back, of course, and you should too at skull-commando-labs.itch.io. And naturally, I had to check out his retro-style action platformer, Mouse and Cheese Tactics, which was a ton of fun and really well made. It's simple, being that it's a one-screen platformer with a whole bunch of levels, but the advanced levels get really quite challenging. So if you're into that kind of thing, definitely go check it out. It's free, and also it looks like he added ninjas from Codename Malo. So that's really sweet. If you remember, we had Codename Malo for episode 1 of IGDR. It looks like he might still be updating it alongside his other project, Skull's Nightmare, which is full color, pixel art, still retro, and it's like a side-scrolling game. It looks like he's adding a rideable dragon in Skull's Nightmare that the player can use to torch enemies with, so that looks really cool, Skull. Love seeing what you're doing. Also love the flip snacks you've been putting out. If you're a listener who hasn't checked out Skull's flip snack page, it's so cool. It's like a digital video game magazine, but for indies only. It's absolutely fantastic and extremely well done. If you love it too, think about supporting Skull with a donation or simply by showing your friends, and I'm sure your friends will think it's super cool as well. Another free game, this time from one of my very favorite devs. I actually started following this dev like 4 years ago after I fell in love with their game called Void Pyramid, which is also free on Steam or itch. So definitely go check that out if you like shorter RPGs. This developer, Andy Hagen, just released a new free game called Superstorm Melon Date, which is it's a visual novel about dating in a dystopian future. And I'll be completely honest, visual novels aren't my thing, and that's not entirely my fault, being that I'm slightly dyslexic, extremely myopic, and I've got astigmatism, and reading's never really come easy for me. But Andy Hagen's, he has an incredible amount of charm that he injects into each of his like super eclectic and usually future-based games. Right off the bat, the music is incredible on this one, and the art is like really professionally done, yet utterly charming in nature. It's hard to describe, so definitely go check it out. The writing is both far out and smart. Check out Superstorm Melon Date and go on a date with this sensible humanoid melon creature. Follow Andy Hagen on Twitter and itch as Willy Electrix, that's WILLYELEKTRIX .itch.io, and same name on Twitter, WILLY Electrix with a K and an X. Next we have Captolite Games, that's CAPTI, light, like a light, games, is releasing their demo for Path of Kami, which is a beautifully rendered 3D exploration puzzle game containing traditional Japanese folk tales, as well as a narrative journey for a main character who appears to be like a wolf spirit. Not only is the demo being released, but they're launching a crowdfunding campaign on the iFund Women platform on the 12th of February. So check out Path of Kami by Captolite Games and show them your support. Go to captolitegames.itch.io and follow them for more info at Captolite on Twitter. Go check them out. And since we're on February 12th, Just Wall Games and Wirehead Games have announced that day as a release date for their game Terrain. So yeah, that's Terrene, Terrene. So go search for that one on Steam and check out Terrene. It looks a little bit like a spiritual successor for Terraria, but it seems to be more like sci-fi in its approach, with space stations and stuff like that. There's ground-to-flight combat, suit upgrades, alien biomes and weather, a day and night cycle, multiple procedural planets, as well as mining and procedural caves and a wide variety of enemies. It's got split-screen co-op and works with remote play. So check out Terrene on February 12th. As it turns out, February 12th is a big day for long play games as well, since they're releasing Season 2 of Cygnus Pizza Race. Long play games, as you may remember, split off from Indie Imprint, who we've had on the show. So Cygnus Pizza Race is like an F-Zero style racing game with power-ups and multiple tracks, and it's got split-screen versus mode. The new tracks look great, and everyone go search for Cygnus Pizza Race on Steam. Check it out and grab it if that's the type of game that you're into. Real quick, I'd like to take a second to fill people in on what's been going on with me personally. Listeners know that I've been struggling with back pain. Recently I took my doctor's advice and started seeing a physical therapist, and not only were things explained to me a little bit better, but the exercises and the new schedule have been doing absolute wonders for my pain. So essentially, through multiple injuries throughout my life, I've ended up with extremely poor posture, mostly due to scar tissue from where I cracked my scapula in 2003. My shoulders were so far up and forward for so long that I could no longer hold them in a normal position, and my muscle memory had completely lost what good posture was. So even though I've been trying to correct things like my neck, I was failing to see the big picture, which includes all of the vertebrae, all the way down to my pelvis, as well as all the supporting muscles that have been severely underused. So what at first sounds simple, stand or sit straight, was actually far more complicated due to injuries and the fact that my muscles have been so far off for so long. Also, I recognized through all of this that I'm not arching my spine enough when I'm sitting, and I was kind of sitting on my tailbone. So my pelvis was actually creating unnecessary pressure on my spine at unnatural angles because my pelvis needed to be rotated forward and my tailbone pressed more towards the back of my chair rather than the seat of my chair. All this being said, clearly it's been a ton of effort on my part as well as an expense, albeit necessary. The good news is that the pain is getting better. The muscles that support the vertebrae in my back are getting stronger. There's less direct pressure on the discs between the vertebrae. Also, I have much more profound understanding of posture now, both in physical terms and now also I'm starting to understand some of the psychological implications that posture has on the mind as well as the perceptions of others. So tons of self-work and introspection lately, but it hasn't stopped me from working on my indie project Retro Spaceball, which is doing great. I'm working on getting the Steam store up right now, planning a fancy new trailer, working on some awesome new mechanics and art. I've been trying to post every day on Twitter. I just updated recently with a new gravity mechanic. It's hidden in the Bug Boss level. Definitely more to come with Retro Spaceball. Thanks everyone so much for providing all the feedback. It's been insanely helpful. It's great to me. It feels like we're all making this game together. And sure, I have the final say and whatnot, make sure the game doesn't go off the rails, but holy cow, some of the amazing ideas that I've gotten as feedback are just completely beyond me. So I really appreciate that. The game would not be nearly as cool, and I would not be as good as a dev. And it wouldn't be as fun to make if I didn't have this, if I was all alone. If I didn't have a community, I'd be back to square one trying to build a community. Because you gotta get your demos out there in the hands of players. This is the only way to get better as a dev. Okay, enough of my rambling. I've got this amazing interview lined up. Unfortunately, there were some technical difficulties when a dust storm rolled through my neighborhood, making communication very difficult. Luckily, we were able to chat about some really cool stuff, and I could edit out the issues. So I hope you enjoy it. Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining. We've got an awesome interview today. It took a while to line it up, but I'm super excited for it. We've got Ryan Sumo, and he's going to talk to us about a new project and his studio. You want to take it away, Ryan?
Hey everyone. This is Ryan from Squeaky. We're a small indie studio based in the Philippines. Very happy to be here, and always happy to get on and chat. I know that with this did take a while. I think this was maybe 3 months in the making, but I finally carved out a bit of time to have a chat with
That's
you.
awesome. I'd super appreciate it because honestly, there was quite a few people that I reached out to initially that did not respond at all, or they responded and then it trailed off and just never came into fruition. And sometimes I kind of felt like I didn't want to chase those ones because it's a little weird.
Yeah.
But then a whole bunch of indies started reaching out to me, so I figured that was kind of the direction. But I'll probably reach out to other people in the future.
Yeah, that's good. I think we were talking earlier. I started out as a freelance artist, so I'm very used to rejection. I think that's that's a good skill to learn. I think when you're reaching out to people, it's just to gracefully accept if they don't reply. It could be a variety of reasons, even don't feel too bad, but I'm happy that I was that I was able to get back to you.
Awesome. All right. So Ruinarch, you just told me about. I don't know anything about it, so I'm really interested in it.
Mm-hmm.
I know of your art in Prison Architect. I haven't actually played the game, but I know of the art because I've seen footage of it, and it's a very popular game. And your art obviously had a big hand in that. It was a management game. So now that you're at the reign, so to speak, in your studio, are you game designer? Is that your main role?
With a small studio, obviously we're only at this point there's like a five man development team, and I also have our COO who helps me with running the business. But originally it was just three of us, and I aside from the art, I would do the business end of things, and watching the finances, and a little bit of design here and there. But we do have a lead designer. His name is Tristan Angeles. So he takes the lead on design work. But I kind of chip in every now and then with the design. So I do mostly design, art, business, and marketing. I guess is the different hats I would put on every day.
Wow. So can we hear more about the game?
Sure. I guess just a quick recap. After Prison Architect, so we launched Squeaky Wheel. Our first game was called Political Animals. It's a two-player strategy game, or single player and multiplayer, but local multiplayer only. Strategy game where you kind of run for office. That didn't do very well. So we kind of we switched up and we made a game called Academia School Simulator. That's sort of like Prison Architect, but like schools. And that's been doing okay for us. So that's kind of been our bread and butter for the past 4 years. It's been in early access for about 4 years, and it's still doing well enough to support us. So we're continuing to work on that. And last year we announced that we were going to be publishing, funding and publishing another local studios game called Ruinarch, and so that's finally coming out in 1 week. I'm not sure actually when when this podcast will come out, but it's coming out August 25. And Ruinarch is basically we call it an evil overlord simulator. So you're basically a very bad person and with superpowers, and you're kind of wreaking havoc on a village by there's a bunch of stuff that you can do. You can do elemental stuff like hurl down meteors or ice or rain or poison or stuff like that. But you can also kind of like mess with people's heads, get get someone to cheat on their partner, or like steal someone's stuff and put it in another person's house and like start arguments that way. So like it's sort of like a sandbox for people who want to wreck other people's lives,
wow.
at least digitally, not in real life.
So it sounds like you give them the opportunity to decide the fate, so it doesn't have to be bad, right? Or no?
Well, it's so the way it's designed is you kind of have to
Okay.
be bad.
Okay. Understood.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Got to keep it fun, right?
Yeah.
What fun is it being good? No, I'm just kidding. But sounds interesting. So let's hear more about this Overlord character. Is it like a character, or is it just you're the Overlord, or is there some type of narrative behind it?
Yeah, so like there's no like real narrative. So the idea of the game is kind of like you're creating your own narrative. There are three different like Overlord archetypes, and like you choose between them, and like they have like different powers and stuff. And yeah, so like right now there's mostly like like the team that made the game, like they want to give people the opportunity to kind of just like really play around with the different like spells and stuff, and just like see like kind of create their own story. They create their own like havoc, I guess.
Very cool, yeah. So and then now that you mentioned it, you're the game prior to this, the school simulator one, I can't remember the whole title. You said that was successful, and I have heard of it. I don't think I put two and two together that you were behind it, or that you had part in it. But
right.
What was I going to say? So with that, are you kind of bringing back some of those same elements of the school simulator, since obviously that had a nice driving audience behind it? Are you giving them something else to chew on, essentially, or is it taking them somewhere else completely, or somewhere in between?
Sorry, do you mean like with Ruinarch?
Yeah, or
with
yeah, because essentially it seems like it's got some management elements to it, right?
So the two games are very separate from each other, since they're like different studios are making it.
Sure.
But like for Academia, our school game, we are definitely like looking at like in the future, like once we wind down development on that, trying to maybe like look into like different like kind of be in the same like management genre, but like maybe different like tackle different topics. So yeah, that's something that we're interested in doing in the future.
And that's not only as a development company, but as a publisher as well? Or as a publisher, are you planning on reaching out further beyond that type of genre?
Yeah, that's a different like different skill set, I guess. We're not like super aggressive about calling ourselves like publishers, I guess, because like so for Ruinarch, it was just a very specific opportunity. Like I literally found them on Twitter, and I saw that like their website was called it had a .ph domain name, which is Philippine, so it intrigued me, obviously. And then so like I chatted them up, and it turns out they live here, and like they literally lived like a 5-minute walk away from where my parents lived. So when I when I had dinner with my folks one time, I just walked over and I had a chat with them, and just kind of built up that relationship, and it seemed like there was an opportunity for us to work together, and it's worked out pretty well so far. Whether or not we will continue to like publish other studios' games, that's it's an interesting idea to me personally. Because I think like at least in our region, one of the biggest hurdles, like in the Southeast Asian region, one of the biggest hurdles is like finding funding for games, because it's still it's a little bit weird. Like people don't really kind of have a good grasp of it. Like So it's not like something you could go to a bank, let's say, and take out a loan because you want to develop a game or you want to start a game studio. They just look at you with blank stares. So that's something I'm personally interested in, but I don't know if Squeaky Wheel itself will be like pursuing that into the future.
Understood. Understood.
Mhm.
So, as far as publishing duties go, and you handle some of these, right? The publishing duties.
Mhm.
What are
Mhm.
some of the things that you were able to do for Ruinarch so far?
So like maybe basically what I was saying was like each publishing relationship is I think has to be unique and like each party has to be clear about what they're looking for in an arrangement. And so for us, like the primary thing I think was the funding. So they needed some funding so that they could continue like development of the game,
Sure.
and at the same time like help help with the marketing stuff. So we've been so like I kind of advise them on marketing and like how to best reach out to people, and how to like continue to like draw in people over the course of development, which is like kind of building an audience, and yeah, and like so with the launch coming up, we've had like a few like meetings about like like launch strategy and stuff, and that's it's borne fruit, I think. We had a few like large YouTubers feature the game in the past week, and like the wish lists, like the Steam wish lists for the games shot up. So we're pretty happy with how that turned out. And we're yeah, like we're a little bit still a bit nervous because you never know like how things will turn out. But
Sure.
yeah, trying to be positive about
Have you been
launch.
involved in any of the testing or anything like that?
Yeah, yeah. So we did like earlier on during the development, we did some testing. So like the Squeaky Wheel team did testing and feedback for the game, and during in the time before COVID,
Sure.
we did like some face to face meetings where like our lead programmer was which is like looking over their code and giving some advice about like things to watch out for and stuff. But like in terms of like major design decisions and stuff, we try to keep hands off because it's their game, and we want to like make sure that like they're comfortable with like the game that they're making, that they want to make. I'll like what I'll do is I'll just push in a certain direction if I really feel strongly that like like this is something that you need to address maybe sooner rather than later, or like kind of stuff like that, just like sort of weird bits of knowledge that I've picked
Production
up over the
knowledge.
years that I think are stuff like that.
So, has there been community testing involved in this title at all, or no? Or no? Maybe.
Well, so we were part of like two events recently, so like the Steam Summer Festival, and just recently we were part of the Yogscast festival. It was called the Tiny Teams Festival, and so we released a demo on both of those occasions where people could try out the game, and then like there's a link to a feedback form where they can leave their feedback. And we also have a pretty active Discord server where, I mean, yeah, the amount of feedback and suggestions can actually be kind of
Okay.
overwhelming sometimes. But yeah, so it's been pretty good.
So,
Yeah.
as far as the Discord stuff goes, I'm really interested to hear about
Hmm.
any tips you might have in on getting people interested enough to join a Discord on their own accord, or to be a healthy member of the community, and not just some name on a list that you somehow got to join
Right.
your room but they're not active, kind of thing. You know what I mean? Do you have any
Yeah,
tips
that's
on your Discord? around their Discord or
You
anything
know
like
what?
that?
I really don't. I really don't. We I've actually actively and this, for better or for worse, I actually have actively avoided Discord for Squeaky Wheel for a very very long time because I'm very much an introvert. I'm okay with like I like one-on-one conversations, but like having a barrage of people like kind of just like talking to you and giving you suggestions and um, it can be overwhelming. Yeah, so we recently got like we hired someone freelance to help us with like marketing and
Really?
Discord stuff. So she's been doing great.
Cool.
And
How did you go about finding
well, so
them?
for
If I can stop you.
it's just a very very long I mean, to be honest, like it took probably at least 6 months to a year. Like we've had an ad for like a someone to help us with marketing like up on our website for about a year, and like every now and then like people would find it, and I check out their like their cover letter, and most of the time like it wasn't it just wasn't a good fit. Like I don't think that people really kind of understood what we needed, and
A heavy screening
yeah,
process.
for yeah, like it's not a like we're not we're not like super professional about like the screening process. It's more of like a gut
Yeah.
feel, I guess.
Well, it's
And
really
yeah, I
important,
just
right?
felt yeah. So yeah, that's turned out okay. In terms of inviting people to your Discord, I think like really like it only really started like popping once we had the demo out, and then like in the demo itself was a link to the Discord channel, and then it's also on our Steam store page. So once people got their hands on that, then they found their way to the
So the game
Discord.
did the selling. It wasn't someone going door to
Yeah,
door
yeah.
with a link.
No, no, I don't think that's really gonna do. That's not really gonna do you any
Yeah,
good.
I think that's a
Yeah,
good thing to
once people
point
get
out here.
a taste of the game.
Yeah, no, because it's difficult when you don't have a big title or a publisher behind you, or some of us don't even have funding for these projects, right? So it's
Hmm.
difficult to fill a Discord, but that's how you do it. You have to let the game speak for
Yeah,
itself.
yeah.
I really appreciate you pointing that out, though. I do.
Sure, sure. Yeah, it gives you something to talk about too, right? Like when you have like something concrete, like even just a demo, even just a prototype, or something like that. If it if it tickles enough people's fancy, then and yeah, a bunch of them will probably join your Discord.
Sure, sure. I mean that's the way to do it, 100%. And then
Yeah.
you have something to talk about.
Hmm.
Very cool. So as far as implementing that into the game, was that something that the development team took care of?
Sorry,
Like the
which one?
user experience of getting people from like downloading the game, getting them to the Discord, like the funnel was that
Oh, yeah, it's there's really it's not super
Mhm.
complicated, right? Like this is fairly common, like the game, like especially if it's early access, like once you load up the game, like a lot of games will do this where they have like a window or a panel saying, hey, well, thank you for trying the game, blah blah blah. Like this game isn't, it's just like a warning that this game is in early access, and if you'd like to leave us feedback, you can like send us feedback here or join our Discord, and then there's just a link to
but that's
the
great.
Discord. Yeah,
Things
so
have
that's
changed
yeah,
because back
yeah.
even what 5 years ago, you would get the warning: this is early access, this is beta, and then that was
Hmm.
it. If you were lucky, you get a link or something
Yeah,
like that, or some
yeah.
then it was Subnautica, I think, came along. They started implementing stuff like that, where you could directly get to the developers. I think that's really cool to make that screen more attractive, though. Now, where instead of saying there's a problem with our game that's not done yet, so forgive us, essentially, you can now say, hey, join our community and be part of this group that we've got going. Make it fun. That's cool. So yeah, I think a lot of devs can really can start doing that. I think that's going to be a good idea. I don't see it very often in the indie games that I test. So
really, that's interesting.
You see it more in the larger.
Yeah, I don't. Maybe they're not.
The larger the game you get, right? The smaller the game, you start to see that less. But that's where it's almost more important, right?
Right. I think there's no well, so I was gonna say there's no harm in doing it, but yeah, like there's also the only risk that I see is like being kind of overwhelmed with suggestions. Although I guess if you're just starting out, then that's less of a problem. But there is kind of the risk of like if you do get a couple of people who are really into the game, that's obviously it's great, but then there is the risk is that they might end up steering the game maybe in directions that the designer didn't intend, or like there's always like this tightrope, right, of like you as a designer making the game and like kind of getting feedback and filtering that feedback, but at the same time like not disappointing like the people who gave the feedback. So that's definitely a tough tightrope to
that's
walk.
A great point. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So have you experienced any of the challenges that the dev team faced? What is the developer's name, by the way?
They're called Maccima, but it's spelled in an odd way. It's Maccima.
Okay. So as far as your relationship with Maccima, have you been like kind of through them in any of their hardships? Or I'm sorry, with them through their hardships? That's what I meant to say.
They've not been particularly had like I don't remember any particular difficulties, I guess, or hardships. Like maybe all of that stuff came before they signed on with us.
Pretty cool as far as you've seen.
Yeah, we've been pretty well. I mean, there were times where I guess there was a big shift in the middle of development, like just in terms of the design of the game, where I guess like we kind of had a difference in opinion about where the game should go, but like ultimately I just had to like trust their lead designer and taking it in the direction that he wanted, and it seems to have turned out pretty well so far.
Wow! So were you able to take that decision in stride, or was it a stressful moment in your life?
It's it's a bit tricky, right? Like we've had this like kind of experience with so our first game was actually with a publisher also, and I think that as especially when you're like not really a professional publisher, like with a large publishing team and producers and like really funneling a lot of money into a title, you kind of have it's almost a personal relationship with these people, so it's a little different. And also like since we're developing our own games, it's not like I have all the time in the world to like say, oh no, you should go this direction, etc., and like kind of manage that situation. One of the reasons that I thought they were, I thought it was a good decision to to fund them is that I felt at the time like confident enough that they they were their own separate team and they were responsible for themselves and they wouldn't need like too much management. So I had to like kind of accept that that's why we signed them on. And if they just saw things differently, then yep. Again, oh no. Hello.
Okay, so I think it is that there's like some type of dust storm or something outside. It's actually like monsoon season here, but it's been an
Okay.
extremely mild monsoon season, so it like doesn't count.
Okay.
So I haven't looked out,
Wow.
but the wind picked up, and I think that's what's going on. Because I heard
Okay.
something
Okay.
out there.
Yeah. Maybe we should wind down while we're still
Well, we can still hear each
while we're still being able to hear each other.
other. That's not a bad idea. I mean, I'm sorry to cut it
Yeah.
short. Up to you.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
But I did have one more question before we
Okay.
wind things down, and because
Mhm.
obviously you started as contractor, right? As far as your
Mhm.
indie
Mhm.
game career, as far as getting noticed and stuff like that, getting known to the public. As far as that goes,
Yeah.
how did you take that and take a studio out of it? Because you were a contractor, and now you're in a
Right.
studio with a successful or multiple successful titles under your belt, right? So,
Oh, just the one,
okay,
I
just the
think.
one as Squeaky Wheel. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I mean, you're credited for art in a game that's
Sure.
millions.
Sure.
So,
Mhm.
that's pretty awesome. But
Yeah. Yeah.
it's got
Yeah.
to be a hard funnel, right? Like as far as getting that
Mhm.
from like I don't know. Could you go into that?
Sure. It's
I guess it's a long
yeah,
story,
like
right?
so just with hello?
I
Can
can
you hear
hear
me
you.
okay?
Yeah, sorry. It's
Okay.
probably a
Yeah, yeah.
long
So
story, so I'm sorry.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I'll try to do the TLDR version.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
So yeah, when Prison Architect launched in 2015, like out of early access, I had already had like a game, like our political strategy game called Political Animals. Like I had a prototype already with me, and I was already kind of on that in kind of that frame of mind that like yeah like Prison Architect was super successful, and maybe like this is like the peak as my peak as a freelance artist. Like I yeah, like I don't know that I could have worked on any other game that would ever be as big. So like maybe the next step for me personally was to try to run my own studio and make my own games.
Sure.
So that's where that started. Like
That's
in terms of like how we,
and then
sorry,
you got
say
friends
that again.
together, I'm sure, to help you with that.
Yeah, yeah. So like before that, we'd already been like I'd already like kind of recruited a couple of people, like my co-founders, to start working on a prototype. And so yeah, at the same time that Prison Architect launched, I started pitching it to publishers, and we found a small publisher that was willing to fund the development of the game. And yeah, we just kind of went from there. It was pretty stressful at the start, just
Okay.
like
Yeah.
um, setting up a company and just kind of getting all the paperwork together and stuff like that. Like I'd never done anything like that before. But after that, it was yeah, like maybe the biggest change is like kind of realizing that you need to manage people other than yourself.
Yeah.
Like as a freelancer, you're basically just managing yourself, right? That's easy enough. Like if you can be responsible for yourself, just commit to your tasks. That's not a problem. But like once you have a company, it's like, oh, there's multiple people that you have to kind of manage. And again, it's like the tightrope of do you undermanage or you overmanage. Like I think that a lot of people have the idea that like if you just let people do what they want, not try to micromanage them, then everything will work out okay. And I think I found that to not be true. So like you kind of have to figure a way where just have a process in place where everyone is working towards the same goal and everyone knows what everyone else is doing, so that like you're always kind of in sync. And like that's maybe been the biggest change for me, was kind of learning and continuously learning how to like coordinate and manage people.
This windstorm's killer, man. I'm so sorry. Oh,
No, it's not your fault, man.
insane. Hey, it finally came.
Where do you have any idea what the last thing you heard
Yeah,
was?
absolutely. We were talking about micromanaging.
Oh, right, yeah.
So right when you said the word
Yeah,
micromanage,
I
that's when it
mean,
cut off. Sorry.
nice. I think what I was just trying to say was like that's maybe the biggest hurdle for me, is trying to find the balance between like micromanaging and like just letting people do their own thing, and mostly like making sure that people are in sync, I guess. So that's been the biggest struggle for me.
I see. Yeah, no, I could see that being the case for sure. Now, we are having
Yeah.
heavy windstorms here, so I don't want to go through another uh, gust where we lose each other. So I definitely want to thank you a ton for following through with this podcast and
No
taking part.
worries.
Yeah, no, this is really cool. Before you leave, I definitely want to ask you if you'd like to plug anything or anything you'd like to cover that I totally missed. Yeah, sorry, this wasn't the most organized podcast today.
No, that's totally fine. I mean, just Ruinarch. Please follow and wishlist Ruinarch on Steam. It's coming out August 25. So again, I don't know when this actual podcast is coming out, but even if it comes out later, go on and check it out on Steam. And if it catches your fancy, and maybe check it out.
Cool. And where can we find you on Twitter?
I am at Ryan Sumo on Twitter, so it's very easy to find me. And I'm happy to respond there as well. I'm probably better there on Discord or email. I think I probably have a better response rate on email. So you can, if you have if anyone listening has additional questions, they can email me at ryan@squeakywheel.ph, and I'll do my best to respond.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks again so much. Sorry again to cut it short and for the difficulties.
No worries.
I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Totally.
All right. I hope you enjoy the rest of your night.
All right. Take care.
All right. Thank you, Rick.
Goodbye. Thanks so much for listening to this episode of Indie Game Dev Report. I hope this information has been useful to you and your project. Everyone keep up the hard work and enjoy the rest of your day.
Hello, mic check.
Hey, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Oh,
I
can you hear me? Yeah,
Hello.
I can hear you.
I can hear you. I heard you.
Oh, great.
I can't hear you.
Oh no. Oh no, you can't hear me.
For a second.
Oh.
I can hear you now. I can hear you. I heard you.
Okay.
Wow. Check.
Well,
hey.
This is.
Hey. Hello.
Yeah. Are we good? Hello.